battling to stay on Earth and knowing that they wouldn't allow him to stay with me on Earth, or, he was threatened, and having them threaten me, or he said that they would kidnap me if I didn't go, I knew that this was something that did not want me to do what I do. And so finally, where are we, 2010, that was in 2006, I've gotten away from it a lot, and, I was very hesitant about sharing the story. It was more like, wow, I survived, now I can move on with my life, but, so much was coming at me that was encouraging me to come forward, and I just kind of went with the flow. But I've been, wanting to lay low. I got pretty blasted by him after I did this, Agent X, who came forward, just saying I wanted attention, I was a gold digger, which I find kind of funny because I haven't made a dime. I'm not promoting a book, and if I wanted attention and fame, I would have taken advantage of a lot of the opportunities I had being in the Eisenhower family, which I turned down, because I've been on this path, fighting and battle, just really, trying to hold it together.
Mm-hmm. Did you say that they actually read the Akashic records to find you?
Well, there was talk about that when he sort of let me know that they knew, what I represented. He gave me those archetypal names, Sophia, Magdalene, or whatever. I obviously carry a strong code for it. I mean, it's within everyone. It's just something. It's very hard to control me. So I think that the whole thing was to draw me in and to really just make sure that I knew that they knew, me, and that it would be a comfortable thing. But after I had a dream where, they could take me and they wouldn't hurt me, they'd control me, or I could stay on Earth, and I fell off the ship and came back to Earth. There was an alignment that happened. So everybody was basically friendly in the beginning, but it just wasn't working because it just wasn't compatible with my organic nature and what I really feel is, my destiny. So, am I answering your question, or did I miss? Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah. So a lot was exposed to me as far as what they did know of me and what they used to figure it out. Also, I assume that they did the same thing with him because he met me and used the name Osiris, Oberon, and Orion, which is interesting because Sophia Magdalene is another name for Isis, and then Isis and Osiris are a divine pair, in ancient, in the archetypal story. So, that's where it connects with the archetypes. And I look at it more metaphorically, anytime we come into union and want a high union, many people refer to Christ Sophia, Isis Osiris, Shiva Shakti. So it's just, it's a divine blueprint name. I don't consider myself more it than anybody else. I just know that I'm very loud about reminding us that we have that within. And I just don't really ever lose touch with it. And I don't believe others do necessarily, but I know that these technologies really do manipulate our ability to connect with, our deepest and truest nature. A lot of us, are able to, and we know them, and there is a lot of us that are awake, but the mainstream culture is being really robbed from their true, who they truly are deep within, the power that they have, the creative power that they have. So, my journey here, or my path, my mission, whatever you want to call it, on Earth is to create that remembrance and really illuminate that divinity to be able to counteract all these negative forces. Because like an immune system, that power will, make all that sinister and dark and evil and, just fall off the map. It won't have any place to feed off of. It'll starve itself. So, we can be in fear, but at the same time, when you look at a human organism, how does it heal? The same thing here. We just have to really unify and empower ourselves, remove our power from the places that are taking it, and, just change the way that we perceive things, and it won't have anything left to feed on. It's just like a parasite. You've got to remove the thing that it wants to feed on.
So maybe you have an answer for this, maybe you don't. But who are they?
Well, I don't want to say it on the air for my own security reasons, but there is a group, a hidden group, that is very accessible to learn about. I can, help people understand it off air if they want to contact me. But there is a group that's associated with the intelligence community, and I don't know. There's a few of them that are connected with the Black Ops, not the ones that I dealt with maybe directly, but a lot of their projects have been funded by Black Ops programs. So this was smelling to me very similar. It felt very similar to something of using humans, almost like guinea pigs, but, back in the 70s, and then using those technologies to actually work an agenda for their own uses through that manipulation of chips and remote viewing and all this sort of stuff. It's kind of hard to articulate, but it's all connected with that. And the government, as we know it, probably isn't even aware of it. And so this is why it's so challenging, because it's almost like somebody who had discovered that within the LAPD there was cocaine deals going on. How do you bust something that is the law? How do you bust something that is in the people that you would want to go to are actually corrupt? I mean, so this, the higher government, the government that we know, I could really use their help. But I mean, Obama made a statement the other day that he's just something about no conspiracies. There are no conspiracies, and that nobody should support the thought of it. Well, this isn't a conspiracy. This isn't a theory. I actually have proof, and I have the facts. I have the life experience. So it's not just some theory that I'm like, well, this is what I think because I'm paranoid. I lived through it, and I have emails, and there's everything out there to prove it if I ever needed to go to court and take them to court. So if this planet is really in danger, and if they don't back off, I will do that to protect the human race.
You had mentioned early on that they can kind of cause things to happen, and what came to mind was all the earthquakes that are going on recently. I mean, every other day there's an earthquake. Are these natural or man-made? What's going on with that?
Yeah, I can't say for sure. Intuitively and just in my being, it does not feel natural. And a lot that's going to be happening is not going to be necessarily natural. Usually global shifts, that are natural just have a completely different feel to it. I can kind of tell the difference because I usually feel it in my body before it happens, and a lot of us sensitive people can. These did not feel that way. And, there's also things that are going to be happening with ETs and UFOs that some is going to be natural and some isn't. There's technologies that can mimic a holographic second coming that could fool a lot of people, which I'm concerned about. So these are the type of things that I'm willing to expose as the demand increases, and that's all I can do. I want to give these folks a chance to change their agendas. This is kind of my warning to them, because if they don't, it's going to come out. It's not easy stuff to come out with, so I'd rather kind of throw that warning out there, because this really does deserve to be taken all the way to, some sort of trial, because this is a crime against humanity and our freedom. And this is what Ike was dealing with. This is kind of like I'm finishing the legacy of Eisenhower in a lot of ways, along with other family members. And he was dealing with similar things, talking to ETs perhaps, and, just dealing with the Nazis. This is very similar because it's biased to bloodlines, and I don't believe in that. I don't believe there's any hierarchy or greater bloodline. I believe we're all equal. So it's just, some of us are more awake than others, and we should assist one another as a global family.
Do you think that perhaps they, whoever we're going to define them as, do you think that maybe some within that group are waking up?
I'm hoping so. And, I have ultimate forgiveness, and I feel... Oh, I can feel an echo, or hear an echo. I have ultimate forgiveness, and I just keep feeding those forces as much, like, please wake up, or, time to put the sword down, game over, as possible. So I have a lot of hope and faith that everything's going to be fine and it won't need to get ugly. And, if they awaken, then we can thank them for being an incredible catalyst to our own awakening on some level. I mean, I wouldn't say thank you, but there is always something some level of gratitude we have to owe to the darkness and the evil forces out there, because it does, make us strong and courageous and really just puts our focus where it belongs. But, there are a lot of victims and they need to be held accountable. But I'm not really into the punishing and revenge thing. I'm just into, let's move to the next level and let that part of it go.
Yeah, I've always said that, hey, if it wasn't for the dark, we would have no reason to shine our light. You
right.
know? So I love what you're doing here. You know, there's been talk in recent months, and I think the last date that we had was sometime in November that Obama or somebody in the administration is going to actually make an announcement about ETs and the existence of alien races and stuff like that. What do you sense is happening with any of that?
It seems like it's getting put on the back burner again. I'm not very up with that sort of information, you know, what they might be doing behind the scenes on that level. But I'm hoping that what I'm, you know, bringing forward will sort of quicken things, because there's a lot of negative alien races and a lot of positive ones. And, you know, we attract a lot to ourselves based on the health of our planet on a spiritual level, on a if we're all out of sorts and we're at war with one another and we're still caught up in these petty, you know, arguments and we're unable to really unite, we will be, they'll feed on it. And it's in our hands to really make sure that we deflect these lower races, just like anybody would want to deflect germs and all of that. So it's important that all this comes out there so that we know what we're dealing with and we know how to solve it. And it's not just through, spiritual awakening. I mean, there's a lot more that has to be done, but that certainly is a major, you know, the major foundation to really unify world religions, to really bust down these barriers between nations, to make sure that we're taking care of those that are in need, and really clean up and wake up to what our responsibilities are. And then we're a lot safer from, you know, parasitic alien forces that want to manipulate, and we start bringing in our true allies that can help us with the repair work and the restoration process. So I want to be very aggressive, you know, about, you know, sharing this and taking it to whatever level I need to, because we don't really have that much that we need to do to protect ourselves. It's just all these blockages and obstacles is the tough part, and getting people to really talk and you know, make it happen. And it's 2010. We got to get on this.
Yeah, so you feel that the Mayan calendar and the end at December 21, 2012 is some kind of tipping point, or what do you feel is happening there?
Well, I think it's kind of a window period. I can't imagine, you know, directing everything and pinpointing it on one date. I mean, things take a little bit of time. You know, the seed's already been planted. The last Venus transit was really the beginning, around 98, I believe, or 99. And then there was another one in, I believe it was 2005. And then another one, 2012, is sort of the culmination. If I have the dates wrong, it's just because, you know, I'm more in the flow of it on an essence energy level than having my figures all set. But, yeah, the last one was, I think, then. And so this is, you know, a birthing. This is like, you know, rebirthing consciousness back on the planet. This is, you know, ancient wisdom and just, you know, the goddess returning, you know, through all of us, you know, in union with the male in harmony. That's on the more mythological and esoteric level, but it's very real. And as this happens, it allows, you know, things in our physical world to fall into place. But, of course, there's a lot of threat coming at us, but we really have the ability to overcome it.